Welcome back, everyone. Week 17 already of the NFL. Joining me, actually, last show we did together was my first year in the industry, is host of the College to Canton podcast, Travis May. Travis, how's it going?
Good. Glad to be here. Just talking some, quarterbacks and other things today. Always glad to talk some football. Really interesting spot we're in with the NFL season. College football is just crazy busy right now. The new schedule and everything with the transfer portal and everything, it keeps me busy because that's kind of my first love, but always love
Yeah.
chatting the NFL too.
Yeah, it is crazy. What's going on with the transfer portal right now? Like any comments, like things that come right to your mind that you're like, wow, this is crazy.
Well, it's just different because they change the rules every year, it seems, with
Yeah.
when you can hop in and whether you can transfer at will. And so that married with name, image, and likeness rights being available for players to be able to kind of cash in for the first time ever has made this a really interesting past few years. That combined with the extra COVID season that some of the players have had to stick around longer in college. We're
Yeah.
seeing players, 24, 25 years old, still in college. And so it's interesting. It makes this year, it makes it tough this time of year to track who's even returning, who could be in the portal, who is in the portal, but also might declare. Like
Right.
that makes predicting the future for NFL drafts a little bit difficult.
Yeah, and it's a lot of, we'll get into some of those guys, especially the quarterback, because there's a lot of quarterback commotion. Before you jumped on a little bit earlier, the big news is Russell Wilson is going to be benched for the last 2 games. Gives the Broncos a little bit of financial flexibility there. He can't get injured. Start talking about guaranteed money. Rappaport reported that Sean Payton has really wanted to see Stidham, so he's going to get that chance to see him these last 2 games. Initial thoughts on this, and is this more, what's the goal here for the Broncos? Is it that they want to be in play for one of these, top 6, top 7 quarterbacks in this draft class? Or do they really think Stidham could potentially be the guy? Because I think we can both say that he's out on Russ.
Yeah, so I think part of it has to do with them wanting to move on and the stipulations that come with that, and his availability and cap hit and the timing with a lot of the decisions upcoming. So they're just ready to move on. And I don't know, Stidham's done this before at a different team. He's gotten a good look before, and it's funny. He must be just great in practice. He just might be a great guy because he's as an Auburn fan, I rooted for him even back to his college days, and he was good, and he could hit a pretty deep ball here and there, but he's not going to be a long-term starter in the NFL. So they're just figuring out what the next weeks look like, make sure we don't get too good of a pick ahead of the NFL draft. But it'll be interesting to see Russell Wilson probably moving on in the very near future, especially given his incredibly odd and unfortunate cap hit for whoever does have him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, we're going to see probably the price of these backup quarterbacks go up given the way that this season went. And you look at, we're here at the end of the season, and how many of these guys you've got. Joe Flacco looking like the years he was like in prime Joe Flacco out there, 38, 350 plus yards for 3 games straight. You've also got, Simeon in there. You've got DeVito, who already got benched for Tyrod. Then you have Brissett. I mean, it's crazy how these backups, like how important they really are, though, because you want to be in a situation where, even you look at the Bengals, Joe Burrow goes down. You have Browning, who's kind of held them afloat here. So I think you're going to see the value of these backup quarterbacks and how much they're going to start probably getting paid this next season.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen just how important they are, or how pivotal your season can turn quickly if you don't have the right backup in place. And how surprising it can be when you see a Jake Browning get the opportunity that he had and surprise us there for a little while. But yeah, I mean, and there's several quarterbacks going on the market, some that actually could be viable starters, some that are decent, at least proven backups who've even had starting gigs for a while before. But what I'm super interested to see how it works out is this incoming crop of potential quarterbacks in the NFL draft. Because there's a dozen that are at least intriguing. They could definitely go in the mid to late rounds or early rounds. 6 that could go in the early round range. So there's always about 12 to 15 quarterbacks drafted. Less than 10 typically that profile like starters. This year it's definitely looking more like a small handful. But when you marry the need that the NFL has with the upside and experience of this incoming crop at quarterback. It's a bunch of old guys for the most part. It's going to be interesting how NFL teams prioritize come NFL draft day.
Yeah, and you look at the current draft order right now, and you've got Chicago with that first overall that they got from Carolina. And you go down, jumping over a couple teams that I don't think are going to be necessarily in the market. But, there was a time and a place where Arizona, there was a lot of chatter about them moving on from Kyler. I mean, I don't know who's going to take on that contract. But then you've got Washington again. They're benching Sam Howell. So what's their confidence level in him moving on next season? You have a new regime in there. So do they want to get their own guy? New England, New York Giants, Atlanta, the Saints, the Raiders, Denver, and kind of a sneaky one that I think people are not paying attention to is actually the Minnesota Vikings, because I think while I think they're going to extend Kirk, I don't think that's going to stop them from going out and drafting a guy that actually could sit behind him, maybe whether that's a year or 2 years. So looking at these teams, I guess let's just talk about your favorite guys, like in what order. I saw you retweet a poll about Jaden Daniels or Drake May. Right. And I think the three names we hear a lot about is obviously Caleb and Drake. And then, the steam for Daniels has really picked up. Where are you at with those three guys?
Yeah, Caleb Williams, since his true freshman season at Oklahoma, and before he even transferred to USC, the hype was very real. He came in as the number one quarterback in his class. I mean, throughout his recruiting journey, like he and his dad were just cemented. He's going to be the number one overall pick in his NFL draft. We're going to find a way to do that. We're following Lincoln Riley in hopes that we can do that, because all he does is churn out Heisman winning quarterbacks that get drafted number one overall. Mm-hmm. He's got a pretty good track record of doing so. Things didn't go the way that we wanted, that many people wanted this past year for Caleb Williams and USC. But even so, like, he still profiles like a 99th percentile kind of prospect. So looks like the real deal, probably still the quarterback one. I think that the debate comes in with Drake May, who had a very imperfect, to say the least, beginning to this past season. And then Jaden Daniels, of course, who had the lightning in a bottle, like just one of the best seasons of all time we've ever seen statistically for quarterback to win this year's Heisman. Now, he's definitely rising up, and it seems that those three are pretty much locks to be top 10 picks. And Michael Penix of Washington has an interesting opportunity, depending on how he does in the playoff as well.
Yeah. And then, Chicago does have that number one pick. And I think this steam of what Chicago is going to do is going to be like all the craze. You're hearing it right now already. Do they move on from Justin Fields, which I do think there would be a team out there that would be interested in him. What would that look like? Or do you build around him? Because I actually think that the Bears have looked pretty dang good the past couple of weeks. That defense is something strong. They've got another pick right now. They're sitting at number 8. Do you think it's in the best interest? Like, you have the first overall pick. They're kind of in a crappy situation, honestly, because what do you do here? What do you think Chicago should do?
I actually still do very much believe in Justin Fields being a viable NFL starter and being a problem for offensive coordinators who can't control him on the ground. And as he continues to improve as a passer and find some more consistency as a passer, I think he's going to succeed. It's just, completely agree with you, Darius. Fields should not be given up on. Yeah. But here's the thing with Fields: if they don't know, if they're not set, if they don't want to here soon have to decide, what do we give this guy this monster contract? Resetting the clock with a player like Caleb Williams does make sense. So I'm in the rare camp of, I both believe in Justin Fields, and I think it would make sense to reset the clock with a Caleb Williams in the draft. So if they can find a trading suitor to make that happen and add more pieces to build around a reset clock situation with Caleb Williams, that might be the best way to go for the franchise and for whichever team actually wants to trade for and believes in a Justin Fields, because he was an elite prospect, still developing, fun runner. So I hope they both, and I believe that they both, Caleb Williams and Justin Fields, will succeed.
Yeah. Are you in the camp that there's any chance that Arizona goes and, moves on from Kyler in the draft here? It's a hefty contract.
Yeah, it's I think even not, I don't say worse, because I still believe in Kyler.
Yeah.
But it is tough to move in any capacity.
Right.
So I would say that he's probably there to stay. And they're in a really good spot to get a Marvin Harrison Jr. with that second overall pick, regardless of where they kind of land there. If they're top 3-ish pick range. There are going to be a lot of teams trying to get their quarterback in that range. And if they just go with, hey, look, we just want the best player in the draft potentially, and get a Marvin Harrison Jr. to pair with a Kyler Murray, that could be a really deadly duo. And so I think that's probably the best approach for them.
Yeah, I'm with you there. What about these next three teams right now sitting in the draft order? We've got Washington, New England, and my New York Giants, of course, which they're again another team that's going to get a lot of chatter. I see people already talking about them, getting Russell Wilson, which is ridiculous considering the contract that they just gave Daniel Jones. But I don't think that takes them out of the conversation for taking a quarterback. They also quietly have that second round pick that they got from the Seahawks for Leo Williams, which could come in handy in this draft. I think it's going to be a key piece. I keep saying it over and over again to what they end up doing. I think that's going to be some, prime little piece for them to maybe move and see what they can do there. But between these three teams here, is there one of these draft prospects that you think fits very well, given the staff, given the surroundings, or do you think they look a different direction?
I think the Commanders could be in an interesting spot to just try to move up and get their guy, whether that's moving up one spot to be in the Cardinals position, or moving up 2 spots in a trade to get Justin Fields, or a trade to I don't know, whatever that looks like for the Bears. But they could be the team to keep an eye on, because as much as I loved Sam Howell as a prospect, he's really always struggled with sacks, and that improved somewhat down the stretch. But he's just been so up and down. I'm not sure that they can invest in him in the future. And they're in a prime spot to get a replacement quarterback, franchise level quarterback here, with a slight move up, or even if they stay exactly where they are. So they want somebody that has a really fun deep ball, has a really fun play style, that can go off script and find the playmakers that they already have in place, and just look to build around him. Jaden Daniels would be the guy who could just find ways to succeed. And even though it's not a perfect situation for him right away there, it doesn't have to be, as he showed at LSU. Even if the rest of the team might not be perfect around him, the defense struggled immensely for LSU this past year. He had great wide receivers, but still he overcame a lot and just put the team on his shoulders. And so he could fit there right away. And I think Drake May would be a great fit with the Patriots. I think he would plug in right away. He's got a quick release and quick decision making. And he's going to have to, because the Patriots need a lot of help.
Oh man.
So and that leaves your Giants in an interesting spot if those first 3 are gone in the first 4 picks as of today. If it does hold that they're outside the top 4 picks, because Denny Dimes, can we call him that anymore? I'm not sure. I'm not really sure what to do with him. So
me neither. Yeah. My hope for Daniel is that, maybe next year it's a scenario where they move on from him. And then you see him go somewhere and kind of have a little bit of a resurgence. I'm under the impression that sometimes these guys just need to get out of the situation that they're in. It's not working for either side. And guys have found success when they move on. I mean, you talk about someone like Baker Mayfield, who I don't know your stance on it, but Mayfield is playing well. I think he exceeded expectations as someone that took the Tampa Bay under wins. I didn't think that they would get there. They're flirting with it. I think they will get over that. They're sitting there first in their division. And I think he's earned, an extension. So do you think Tampa, that's their best bet right now? Because I think they've taken themselves out of the equation here to get one of these top guys.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the best case scenario for them. Either make some kind of crazy trade for Fields or Russell Wilson, or hope that Ryan Tannehill has some left in the tank. Not sure that's really going to be in the cards at this point. So I think I would definitely run it back with Baker Mayfield, because he's actually younger than you think, and he's been by most measures like a top 10 quarterback in many ways throughout this season in the NFL. And so we're just seeing him just finding himself in the right scenario with good weapons. And if they can find a way to bring him and Evans back, I'm not sure that's possible, but if they can, that would be a lot of fun for fantasy football purposes too. So
yeah, absolutely. Talking about another team that hasn't been fun for fantasy purposes, and people have been very upset with the coach over there, is the Atlanta Falcons. Not as happy of a quarterback scenario over there. I think that Ritter isn't panning out kind of like people expected. I think he's playing
Mhm.
like where he was drafted. I don't know that it's completely shocking. What is the best case scenario for the Falcons? Do they try and move up? Is there a second round guy that you're eyeing out that you think could be really valuable?
Yeah, I mean, once you get past those 3, it's not like it's the end of the road. This year, especially if JJ McCarthy does indeed declare for the NFL draft, he doesn't have to. He's only 3 years out of high school. But Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix are most certainly in this draft
Yeah,
class. They're both elder statesmen, as it were, with comparison to most NFL prospects. But those 3 are pretty great. I'm not sure that they'll be elite right out of the box, and they have their questions. I mean, Michael Penix Jr. There was a great deep ball, but he's got some questions. I think there will be some medical red flags that come up that
yeah,
probably you still see mock drafts with him going in the mid early first in some cases, but I think the medical red flags might be enough for teams to have him go in the late first or in the early second. But if he kills it, absolutely kills it in the college football playoff, there's real opportunity for him to go and be that fourth first round quarterback in this class. Bo Nix is interesting because he's such an interesting schematic fit for what Oregon wanted to do.
yeah,
Uh, and he almost everything was underneath. He had one of the lowest average depth of targets and among all FBS passers. He was like outside the top 100 because there's a
yeah,
bunch of dink and dunk and a lot of yak, and took advantage of some speed with Troy Franklin, who could just take the ball and peak out at above 22 miles an hour and just be an absolute baller for him.
right,
And he almost never faced pressure either this year. Like for more than half the year, he had under 10% of his snaps where he was actually being pressured. It wasn't until down the stretch and he faced some real pass rushes like Washington's, in which he lost to
right.
twice, where he showed to be a little bit more human. And so I wonder if there are questions about his early career at Auburn where he struggled with decision making, and then how much of his production was kind of artificially inflated by the situation at Oregon. So I think he's probably in that early second round range. JJ McCarthy struggled at times down the stretch too, despite continually winning. He
Right.
didn't necessarily have to carry his team per se. So he figures to be more like a second round projection as well. So I think all 3 of those could be in the mix for an Atlanta Falcons team in the early second round. All potential, fringe first round projections.
Yeah.
But I'd say in the end, those are the 6 quarterbacks. So you generally see 5, 6, or 7 go in the first 3 rounds. Those are the 6 that we see in those first 3 rounds of the NFL draft.
Before I start wrapping up here, who's your favorite? And I hate this word. I think it's a little bit overused. I think it's misused sometimes. But favorite like sleeper recruit right now? Like it doesn't even have to be a quarterback. Like, is there a guy that you think like my listeners and I should have on my radar as we start approaching this draft season? You're way ahead of the game. I take a little bit longer to get started. But is there a guy that like immediately pops in your head when I say that?
Yeah, I think right away, Devontae Walker out of
Okay.
North Carolina. And he's not necessarily a sleeper for those that follow college football very
Right.
closely. But according to, I scrape all the mock draft data and keep a close eye on that stuff year
Yeah.
round. And he's consistently been like wide receiver 10, 11, 12, even beyond that. And it's a really stacked wide receiver group. But he kind of gets forgotten because he didn't have the perfect 1,300, 1,400, 1,500 yard season in college for a premier program because he wasn't given the opportunity. Kind of took a weird track of transfer and then misses the season due to COVID and then transfer.
Right.
It was a winding road. But when he was finally given the opportunity, and the NCAA almost cost him his season, saying his transfer waiver wasn't rendering him available for the season. They changed their mind because they realized, what we look horrible right now.
Yeah.
But once he was actually in the fold for North Carolina this past year, he had like 7 touchdowns in 7 games and
Right.
was the whole reason their offense got back on the right track. Another player that has some ridiculously high peak speed of on-field measure. And so excited for his athleticism, how he's going to do with the combine. I think throughout the draft process, he's going to be a riser. Like right now, consensus, he's not even around to prospect, but I think by NFL draft day, he could be a pick 40, 45, 50 kind of range player, and deservedly so.
Yeah, it's always fun to watch these guys continue to rise up the board. You see it happen every
Yeah.
year where you don't really hear much about them. And then come draft day, all of a sudden you see where they're sitting on a lot of people's big boards. All right, before I let you get out of here, Is there a bowl game that you have any money on, one that you're looking forward to this week? Even an NFL game, you let me know. Like, is there something that you're excited for this week or have some cash on?
It's funny. I actually just came from working with Mojo, which is basically a sports book
Yes.
and a sports stock market. And
Yeah.
so it's always fun just tracking different player props and things like that. The number one game I think that I've been looking forward to throughout this entire process is in fact Texas and Washington.
Oh, yeah.
Just because the matchup of two quarterbacks in Quinn Ewers and Michael Penix that look like they're both future NFL potential stars mixed in with some skill position players. Xavier Worthy at wide receiver, A.D. Mitchell at wide receiver as well for Texas. You and really it's a trio with Jordan Whittington and J.T. Sanders at tight end too, being the fourth of really solid skill position players there. And then you have Jalen Polk and Jalen McMillan and Roma Dunze for Washington. It's just an incredible set of skill position players on both sides. It's just going to be a really fun offensive battle. And to see if Devondre Sweat and Byron Murphy in the trenches for Texas can actually answer the call and just obliterate the middle for Washington, that'll be a lot of fun because they just face off with a pretty solid offensive line headed up by Troy Fontenot. He's actually getting, be a fringe first round projection at guard too. Just NFL players all over the place on both sides of the ball. That's going to be the best game of this entire cycle, I think. I mean, that might be better than what we see in the actual finals. In the championship. So
it might be better than some of the NFL matchups that we actually see this weekend as well. Let everyone know where they can find your work. I appreciate you coming on, Travis.
Glad to be here, Stephie, and always look forward to just joining you anytime I can. But you can find me on Twitter, or X rather, at FF_Travis M. And I'm actually kind of in between. May have another opportunity where I'm jumping on full time here shortly. So I'll keep you posted on that, but I'll be down at the Senior Bowl if you're going to be back.
Awesome. Yes, absolutely. We'll have to link up, and I'll definitely have to get you on a couple of times as we lead into the draft. Appreciate you coming on. Best of luck this week.
I appreciate it. Take care.
And now, comedian, lifelong Cardinals fan, Chris Bennett. How's it going?
Woo woo, Steph Smalls. I'm doing awesome. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How was your holidays? Was it good?
It was good. I got this Cardinals hat actually at a Christmas party. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a great Christmas. Got some Cardinals gear.
Good. I've been to, a handful of stadiums. The first stadium I ever went to was the Cardinals stadium.
The State Farm, the big toaster?
Yeah, sure did.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, I was a fan way back when they played at Sun Devil Stadium. Okay. And that was the worst. But yeah, our new stadium is super, super
beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah,
we can watch them lose in comfort.
Yeah, lose comfort. See, in that life, you can't do that because it's an absolute shit. It's a shithole. So you can't really lose in comfort there. It's kind of just misery all around.
Yeah, you guys got it. Why no roof? Give me a break. You have to lose, and you have to sit there in the rain and in the snow and in the cold.
Yeah.
No.
And pay the high prices for the beers. It's a little bit ridiculous. So talk to me about the Cardinals. They have a very impressive record of 2-10.
Yeah, they're trying real hard and they're having fun.
They are having fun. And I would qualify them as kind of like one of those frisky teams. Like, it's painful, but they give you at times something to root for. A little bit more in the beginning of the season, though.
Yeah, now I honestly feel like they have given up. And they're not even trying. They're just going through the steps. But that's okay. They deserve a little rest. It's been a rough season. So
they do.
Yeah.
Where are you at with Kyler Murray? Are we wanting to move on from him? Are we liking him? Do we hate him? Does it change day to day? Talk to me.
Well, the 65-year-old man that I hang out with every day at the bar says he's a loser. But I don't think he's a loser. I think I don't know how contracts work or whatever, but I think we're tied up pretty like a lot of money. So if we ditch him, we're still losing some money. So I say hold on to him. Caleb Williams, is that his name from USC? Yeah, he doesn't even if the Cardinals had the first pick, he doesn't want to come play for us.
No.
So I think we just hold on to Kyler Murray and try and get him some help like Marvin Harrison Jr.
That would be great. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. would look fantastic in a Cardinals uniform. You guys go to the Eagles. Sirianni's already, he's getting a little mouthy already because he likes to do that. I don't know what it is with that guy's face. I want to punch him. If I saw him, I might punch him. I can't promise I wouldn't punch him. So, Gannon, which I think, people laughed at Gannon because he's a little quirky. And people don't like quirky these days. I don't know why. It's just called the personality. It's fine. But I think he's actually doing a great job with those guys over there, keeping them in, some games, not making a shitstorm of the season. But, they have to go to the link, which isn't fun. So that might be a painful game to watch there.
No, those are the meanest fans ever.
They're horrible.
They threw snowballs at Santa Claus. And Stephie, my daughter, she's 23. Her boyfriend just came to visit for Christmas.
Okay.
And he proposed to her. He asked for her. He asked if he could have her hand in marriage. Oh, no. And so I was super excited, but he's an Eagles fan.
Oh.
It's an Eagles fan. Come on. I don't know if I could trust somebody that is a front runner. What happens if my daughter has a bad season? Is he going to bail, go to another team? No, I would much prefer if he was a fan of the Cardinals, because then I know he's going to be faithful.
See?
Yep.
This is what I say. I always say, if you want to find a good man, this is who you date. You date a Texans fan. You date a Vikings fan. You have to go find these they're going to be loyal. They've been through a lot. They've stayed strong. They stuck with the team. But I don't know. You got to be careful with those other teams. How do you know? They're used to this success now.
Exactly. Fans of losing teams are so much more appreciative of everything in life. And so they make you feel special. Yeah. And so,
Do you think she'll switch up? Is she going to do one of those things where she ends up, becoming an Eagles fan?
Well, she was never a hardcore sports fan, but that would hurt me. I mean,
you're going to lose her.
You got to be a fan of the Cardinals the rest of your life. You were born into this. And then, what stinks is people that maybe she does leave and goes to her new husband's team to cheer them on. But then when the Cardinals start doing good, she's going to be like, I was there the whole time. No, you weren't.
You weren't. You left. And I don't understand that. Is how do people... people always joke with me on Twitter, X, whatever the fuck it's called, when I complain about the Giants, and they're like, "Oh, you could just come be." I can't just come be a Cowboy. I can't just come be a Brown. No, it doesn't work like that because
we're not swingers. You got to be loyal. We're not polyamorous with our team love.
How do you, and that's a concern. That is borderline, some Ted Bundy, personality traits. If you can switch teams like that, I'm concerned for you because I have an emotional, even when we lose, I'm emotionally so invested and it's still painful.
Yes, exactly.
So talk to me, how do we love, how do we go about love? There's 2 weeks left in the NFL season. How do we continue to love our teams? I'm not going to say nurture because, we love them. We're not going to give them too much attention.
How do we cheer for losers?
How do we cheer for losers? I don't know how. You tell me.
Well, you got to be obliviously optimistic, and you can't pay attention to what other people are paying attention to this time of year. They're worried about wins. They're worried about yards. What we have to worry about right now is nurturing the young guys that are going to be, they're getting their time to play, because you know what? When you're a fan of a losing team, next year is our year. And what better time to start prepping for next year than the last 2 weeks of the season? It doesn't matter if we win or lose. Just get these young guys out, get them some confidence, and let's start building for next year, baby.
Yeah. Start drinking earlier, maybe make sure you've pre-gamed properly or smoke whatever your fix of choice is. And you got to just hang in there. And I think even, this Giants game against the Eagles, I kind of got a little excited there, but you want to know why? I knew we were going to lose, but it's because my expectations were so fucking low that they can't hurt me really, because I already know the season's done and it's a win-win. If we beat the Eagles, cool, awesome. if we don't, we just get a better draft pick, and then we just look ahead to the next season. So I think that it's having these low expectations.
Exactly. They didn't even need to win for you to feel like a winner. They just came close. That's what's so great about being a fan of losing teams, is because we don't get down. Like everything, it's like, okay, who cares? We got, you got to be optimistic. You can't care about them winning or losing. You just got to, I don't know. You just got to push ahead.
You got to keep going, keep drinking, do whatever makes it. You got to numb a little bit, because it does always sting, and you're a laughing stock. That's part, that sucks. And don't get in too many fights on Twitter, because, these other teams are going to come for your head a little bit. You know that you're an NFC West fan. I'm an NFC East fan. A little bit brutal divisions to be in there, especially the fucking insane fan bases in both of those. But you got to just fade the noise. It's just about you and your shitty team. That's it. Fade the noise, drink your beer, and just got to keep watching, because someone has to root for them. These poor, you went to an Arizona game with producer Ryan. And that is, I will say I'm a little bratty. I'm not going to go to a fucking Giants game. I am not. I'm sorry. I'm not. But I will watch from my couch, but I'm not going to pay them any money to go to a game. Well, I'm sure those tickets were somewhat cheap, I would imagine.
Those tickets were given to me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it literally felt like we were the away team, which is another great thing for cheering on a bad team, because you could feel like you're traveling to another team's stadium with just staying in your hometown.
Yes, exactly. And I can go. So I went to a Bengals-Vikings game 2 weeks ago, and I had like a little Vikings jacket on. You couldn't really tell, because I think, then we're starting, the NFL swinger conversation comes in. So, people making comments. I'm like, I'm a Giants fan. It's fine. And they're like, well, what are you doing? I'm like, see, it's fine. You feel bad for me now. It's like, I get a little bit of, you guys, a little bit of empathy here. Talk to me about, the Eagles. We already talked about the Eagles. We don't even need to do that. What's up with you? You got any shows soon?
Ooh, yeah. Well, producer Ryan helped me produce and directed my first ever 1 hour stand-up comedy special titled Small Town Famous. It was filmed here in this. I'm a small town radio DJ, as you could tell by the carpet on the walls. And so we filmed my 1 hour comedy special, and it's edited, and it's coming out on YouTube January 5th. So
January 5th.
January 5th.
Do you have a YouTube channel that they can follow along so we can find it? I'll link it in the description, or producer Ryan will for me. But we will get it in the description. You have a YouTube channel. What's it called?
It's called Chris Bennett Comedy Official. Okay. Chris Bennett Comedy Official.
Official. Got it. Anything else you want to plug before I let you get out of here? Thanks for talking about having a shitty team with me.
Yeah, well, I feel bad for you, because like I don't like, the Cardinals are usually always bad. I feel like 90% of the time. So people don't really pick on us, and they're kind of nice. Like even at the Niners game, that we went to, like the Niner fans didn't want to be too mean to us just because they feel bad. But I feel like Giants fans, like you guys have had your time in the sun. You've won a Super Bowl recently. So I feel like people might not be as empathetic towards you. But
people hate this take, but like, and I know you're not going to probably won't like this either, but I think it's a little bit worse for Giants fans, because we tasted success. Like I grew up and I saw 2 Super Bowls. I had a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I had all these things. I had Plaxico Burress. I had a beautiful team, and I had an awesome childhood growing up, even into college. Most of my life was Giants success. And then it just turned into a fucking shitstorm. So I'm like, I wish I never tasted it. I want to be a true shitty team. I don't want to
Exactly. Well, the Cardinals will welcome you, but I understand you got to be loyal to your Giants. But the Cardinals are always here for you. And if you ever need a shoulder to cry on. But yeah, we experienced success once where we went to the Super Bowl and lost by a toe, basically.
Yeah, you did lose by just a toe. That hurts too. It hurts when you're almost there and you don't get
But we got there. We got there. Like most people would be so sad. But you know what? We've never gotten there. And so it's like the fact that we got there, even though we lost, it was like, guys, way to go. That was crazy.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to be here.
Yeah, it could be worse. You could be a Vikings fan and like come up short every single year in a very painful way. So I think some fan bases have it a little bit worse. I am an NBA swinger, though. I did switch over to the Phoenix Suns because you guys got my Kevin Durant, and I went to college in Arizona. So, I have an excuse to do that. But you've been fantastic. I'll let you get out of here. We know where to find you. We'll link the show in the description, and I'll get you back on soon.
All right. Awesome. Thanks so much, Stephie.
See ya. Have a good night. See ya. Hi, producer Ryan.
I'm saging. I'm saging.
Where's my sage?
We've been talking about it. I finally bought the sage. I'm saging the show. We're gonna have a better 2024. Just all around. Our teams are gonna be better. Our gambling is gonna be better. So yeah, I'm saging now.
Everything's going to be good. Did the mic hold up this time around?
Oh, it was great. It sounded wonderful. So we're good. I think we figured it out. It was your hair last time. If people were watching and wondering what was the muffling sound, it was the hair. So
I do feel so free now. Like I can just like do whatever I want and like
show us some dance moves.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Maybe a couple drinks. Maybe on the Friday show. You had a good holiday. I like that hat. Is that hat new?
I did. I just got this hat for Christmas from my brother. It's the old Cardinals logo from like when they were the Chicago Cardinals. So going back to 1920. Yeah, pretty awesome.
I love it.
Yeah, Cardinals are the oldest team. People don't know that because they're in Arizona, but technically the oldest team in the NFL.
I have a soft spot for them. I don't know what it is. Maybe because I love
because we're losers. That's why everybody.
Misery likes company. I went to Arizona. I don't know what it is. I want to talk about Thursday Night Football really quick with you, since we had a little bit different of a show, and we also missed Monday because of the holiday. I think we decided we are going to do a New Year's show. I figure, you guys are just going to be hungover and you can sit and watch the show anyway. So Thursday Night Football.
I will be hungover producing it.
We'll be hungover. I'll probably be in hangover mode, hair up, maybe still drinking. We'll see how it goes. New York Jets going to the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns laying 7 at home. Total is 35. Cleveland's minus 370 on the money line. We've got Elijah Moore and Joe Flacco revenge games. Can we just have a moment?
I was just going to ask you, can we call it a revenge game? Definitely for Elijah Moore, but was Flacco with the team long enough to call it a revenge game?
I think it's a revenge game because the Jets are so shitty since they didn't sign a quarterback earlier. Like they could have Flacco. So I think that there is a revenge aspect to it. Thoughts, questions?
Yeah, but Flacco wasn't that good for them. It's something about the Browns that has, it's something about the AFC North that brings out the best in them, I think.
I have to say, I think part of that too is their defense is really well. I have to say, I am not fully bought into the Flacco thing. He's kind of falling under my like backup Magic Smalls rule right now. If he does it again this week, I can buy in. I don't think I'm touching this spread. A little bit too big for me here.
Yeah, I'd stay away from it as well, especially on a Thursday night game. Those games always go weird. So stay away from the spread, maybe stay away from the total, unless you like the under because it's a primetime game and going with that trend. But I would maybe stick to the player props.
Yes, and I did cook up a triple D for everyone.
Hell yeah.
I did. I'm going to pull up.
Has triple Ds.
Yes, we are going to make sure I have the right number because we know people like to get pissy about that. Okay, so dad bet. I'm gonna stick with Njoku here.
Okay.
I'm gonna do a bet. We hit this over the weekend over 18.5 yards, longest reception, minus 110. He's gone over 3 straight. He kind of resides in that part of the field where the Jets D is actually a little bit weak here. I also imagine that after Amari Cooper just like decided to be the best receiver of all time last weekend, that they're probably going to heavily guard him. So I'm on Njoku.
He's been better with Flacco.
Yes, better with Flacco, going over it. You can take his yards too. I just like, I like the longest reception. I think his yards are sitting at 49.5. Once you go over with that, cool with that. For Dud, going to stay in the tight end situation. We're going to go under 27.5 receiving yards for Conklin. Browns are actually very, very, they're the toughest D against opposing tight ends. Receptions are fine if you want to flirt with that, but I think going under that 27.5 is a safe bet there. And then dumb fuck, and maybe this is because I'm not fully bought into Flacco quite yet, I'm going to actually take his under passing yards. 235.5. He's gone he's flown over 320 for 3 straight games. So again, very dumb. But the Jets have kept quarterbacks under this number fairly often this season. And I think, I was listening to Sports Gambling podcast a little bit earlier, and they were saying he's 38 years old. I mean, the guy has to be in pain. They can still win this game very, very smoothly, no stress, even if he goes under this. So I'm going to take his under. And then if you want to add just one more, just extra sweaty bet, Elijah Moore over 16.5 longest reception. That's also minus 110. I'm going to get that number to parlay that for everyone. I'll post it on Twitter, X, whatever it is. He's gone over 4 of the last 5, which surprises me because I don't think you hear his name often, but even if he's getting 2 catches, one of them is 99% of his yards. So I think that going over that longest reception, which maybe might end up switching that to Dad. But for right now, that's going to be the triple D going into Thursday Night Football.
So the dumb fuck bet is parlaying the
dumb fuck is Flacco under.
Just Flacco under. You're not going to parlay Flacco with the over for to get longer. We could parlay it together, and I think it is the dumb fuck bet. We say it's a dumb fuck bet.
It is dumb fuck. Maybe we'll combine the two, and I'll get that number because I will be posting shorts of these from now on too before the games, and I think we'll add that to it.
Awesome. You want to do some questions?
Yeah, let's do some questions and then let's get out of here.
All right. Here we go. This one is from Rick Vegas. At Rick Vegas, what is Smalls big on in 2024? Bold predictions, maybe. So just in general, what are your bold predictions for the new year?
Oh my gosh. We said we were going to do this in an episode too, huh? Bold predictions.
So you should already be ready for this.
I know. I wasn't. I feel so unprepared for this. Is it a bold prediction? I know I brought it up a little bit before it. I'm going to start gaslighting everyone. I'm going to gaslight the shit out of my listeners into believing that I think Minnesota is seriously going to draft a quarterback. I'm not being dramatic. I literally think that's going to happen.
Okay. That's a bold prediction.
That's one. Another one is I actually think the Giants, although they had a shitty season, have quite the comeback next year.
Okay, wow. That is another
it's very bold. But if you look back, the Bills did something similar right before, did they have Josh Allen yet? They had one really down year and then they kind of bounced right back. They made it to the playoffs, down year, bounced kind of right back. I kind of see them bouncing back next year. I think they have enough staple pieces there. I don't know what's good. And I guess that's, contingent on
what's a bold prediction for Stephie Smalls? What is your bold prediction for yourself for 2024?
Oh, man. I make it through January. I don't know.
That is a bold prediction. No high noons for an entire month.
Yeah, that's pretty bold. I think we hit 7 outright bets for the PGA this year. That's lofty goal.
That is bold.
And let's get the channel to 15K this year.
Hell yeah. All right. That is bold because we're under 2K right now. So
it's quite bold.
Going to be bold.
Tell your friends.
I like it. Who will be the Chargers' next head coach? That is from at MMarkM 2011.
Do you want to know who I want to be their next head coach? Or who I would
love to hear this.
I don't know who I think. The Chargers are one of those franchises that it kind of feels like they're just playing house and making shit up as they go. Nothing they do makes sense. I would love for Mike Tomlin to actually go there. I think they need to restore the order.
Are they going to trade for Mike Tomlin?
I don't know what they need to do, but I think Mike Tomlin's got to get out of this. I think Steelers fans I talk to are kind of over it. They think they're kind of stagnant, standing still in this Tomlin era. I think Tomlin he's a fantastic coach. And I think the Chargers need someone to go in there and kick some fucking ass. And I think Tomlin would do that. So I'd like to see Tomlin there. That's not who I think, but that's who I want. And this show is
a bold prediction. Yeah, that's another bold prediction. There we go. All right. Last question. So we know the 49ers are really good, but Baltimore D has their way. As of today, who is the biggest threat to the 49ers road to the Super Bowl, in your opinion? That's from Michael Taylor at TMade1118.
God, biggest threat. You know what? I don't know that there really is a big threat here for the 49ers. I'll tell you who I think is a
Eagles or
No, I think the Eagles got exposed. Don't you think? Yeah, I know you watched that game.
Yeah.
I think the Eagles got badly exposed. Like you should not have been that close in that game against the New York Giants.
Yeah,
There was no reason.
absolutely not.
And they had a lot go in their favor. I think the biggest team right now in the NFC that poses a threat to every team is the Rams. I think the Los Angeles Rams are seriously dangerous. I'm going to continue to bet on them. I think that whoever the Rams play, and like we said earlier, I hope that they go to Ford Field. That would be fantastic. A little bit crazy. The Lions could still get the 1 seed. Like there's still a path to that. But I think the Rams pose the biggest threat in general to the NFC. Like that's the last team I want to play.
I totally agree with that. A lot of people have been saying that, and I love that take for sure.
Yeah, me
All right.
too. All right, ready to
Let's
wrap it up?
close this baby out. I gotta
Let's shut
keep
this
staging.
out. I think on Friday we have some good guests too. Nikki the Good is back on. Money's Moon Off Fridays back, and then me and you will have to do some predictions for the new year. Be sure to subscribe, like, rate. Definitely get those ratings in. They help us a lot. And we're gonna get out of here. See you guys.
Watch him make it, break it, break it, break it.